Hours away now from closing arguments in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial in New York City. With me now with a closer look at what to expect is former Manhattan prosecutor Jeremy Saland. Jeremy, good morning to you. Let's start with the big question.
Morning.
Big question first. Do you believe that the prosecutors have proven their case? The jury will determine the guilt or innocence of the former president, but that they proved that former President Trump falsified these business records in an effort to cover up another crime beyond a reasonable doubt?
All right, so you're asking me to read the mind of the jury. That's always a fun question. I do think that the case went in very well. I thought they got their evidence in. I thought that Michael Cohen did a great job. I thought that David Pecker did a great job. I thought the evidence was there to corroborate. It wasn't just the testimony. It wasn't just the shoulders of Michael Cohen. It was a lot more. You had Hope Hicks. You had the handwritten notes from Weisselberg. You had the call logs. So I thought they did a good job. And at the same time, I thought the defense kind of failed. They really didn't take down Michael Cohen. They didn't really poke the holes I thought that they needed to. And then Bob Costello, he kind of lost that opportunity to really have an impactful testimony. So overall, I thought they did a good job. Now, is that proof beyond a reasonable doubt for the felony? You know, I could go out on a limb and say, I think they've got the misdemeanor. The felony will be interesting. I don't think there'll be an acquittal. I think at best he's hoping for a hung jury.
How much do you think the prosecutors will rely on in closing arguments Michael Cohen's testimony? They did a lot of work before they put him on the stand to offer the documents, other evidence, so that the jury would not have to rely exclusively on him. How much will they in the closing?
Well, you know, I think the way they handle Michael Cohen is they come out and say, arguably, you didn't need Michael Cohen. A lot of the evidence speaks for itself, but he was a vehicle and the catalyst to make this all happen. But whether you like Michael Cohen, whether you'd want him to date your sister, whether you'd want him to be your brother-in-law, whether you'd want him to be your next door neighbor, that's fine. You don't have to like the guy. This is not a likability contest. Was he truthful in that moment in time? Was he honest and credible? And you heard him speak, and he knew he came here to get eviscerated and torn down by the defense, to be humiliated. And he came here composed and honest and forthright. So I think they're going to really take out his bad faults and his detractions and build them up. But they're going to have to rely on him because he was there and he's the big ugly. And they know full well that the defense is going to say, this is all about Michael Cohen. If you can't trust Michael Cohen, you can't convict. And the prosecution is going to say, that's not the situation. Like him or not, we did our job, and this was the evidence.
Stormy Daniels, does the defense have to deal with her accusation of what actually happened at Lake Tahoe? Do they have to go into his denial that this engagement, that there was actual sex, or can they just stay on records?
Well, they opened the door to that in their opening and denying it. And to appease Donald Trump, they're going to do it. Now, does that make a good attorney? Does that make a good legal decision and strategic decision? Maybe not. But I don't think at this point they should ignore it. It's irrelevant, frankly. Whether they had sex or not is completely inconsequential. It's whether, because if you recall, there was the doorman who had the story about the child that was born, and that was a lie and a fraud. So you know, they don't need it, but I don't think at this point they hide from it. They just got to confront it and deal with it and move on. But that's Donald Trump playing the marionette game with his attorneys. They made a big deal out of it out of the opening, and it's been a theme throughout this trial. So they're stuck.
Last question. This is on a different case. The former president sent out a campaign email suggesting that President Biden, quote, was locked and loaded to take me out, referring to the Mar-a-Lago search, standard language as it relates to execution of search warrants. Special counsel Jack Smith's office asking the judge in the classified documents case for a gag order on comments from Trump related to law enforcement. Do you think that the judge will grant that?
If Judge Cannon is not allowing herself to be swayed by the Kool-Aid that she might, know that people are consuming, and hopefully she is not, and if she wants to be more a district court judge than some judicial hearing officer in a DMV proceeding, then she does her darn job and says, this is not okay. You cannot be saying these things. You have a right to free speech. I'm not stomping on that at all. I'm going to have a limited order here. Don't endanger the jury. Well, it's not a jury yet, obviously. Don't endanger the prosecution. Don't start lying. Do not do these things. It's such a disservice. And no matter the color of your goggles, and we've discussed this before, I think over time, blue or red, you can't tolerate and accept these lies. Fight your case in the courtroom. Fight your defense in the courtroom. Stick your rights up in the courtroom, but do not do this outside the courtroom. And if I'm the court, I make that limited order to make sure the integrity and safety is maintained.
Jeremy Saland, thanks so much. Enjoy the week. Still ahead on CNN This Morning.